I'm Nora, 32 years old, and I always believed family was the one thing you could count on. I thought the man I married was my partner in everything, and my little brother was about to marry the woman of his dreams. Standing in that elegant garden venue watching everyone celebrate, I felt this overwhelming sense of joy. But then I saw something that made my heart stop. My husband standing too close to the bride, his hand on her shoulder while she cried. And when my brother appeared beside me, saw what I was seeing, he didn't look shocked. He just looked sad. He leaned in close and whispered one sentence that shattered everything I thought I knew about my family. Before we dive into what happened that day, I'd love to know where you're watching this from. Drop your location in the comments below, and please hit that like button and subscribe, because what I'm about to tell you involves secrets, betrayal, and a choice I had to make that changed everything. Have you ever trusted someone so completely that you never saw the warning signs? My brother Marcus has always been my world. He's 3 years younger than me, which makes him 29 now, but I felt responsible for him since we were kids. When I was 15 and Marcus was only 12, our mom passed away suddenly. Dad worked long hours at his construction company trying to keep everything together financially, but emotionally he checked out. So I became the one Marcus turned to. I helped him with his homework at the kitchen table every night, taught him how to drive when he turned 16, stayed up with him when his first girlfriend broke his heart. We weren't just siblings. We were survivors bound together by loss and love. Marcus grew into this kind, gentle man who believed in true love and happily ever after. He worked as a physical therapist helping people recover from injuries, and he poured his whole heart into everything he did. When he told me 6 months ago that he'd met someone special, I saw this light in his eyes that I hadn't seen in years. Her name was Isabel. The first time Marcus brought Isabel to our family dinner, I wanted to like her. I really did. She walked into Dad's house wearing this beautiful blue dress, carrying a bottle of expensive wine, and her smile was warm and genuine. Isabel worked as a marketing manager for a tech startup, and she had this confident, polished way about her. She complimented the pot roast I'd made, asked thoughtful questions about my work as a high school teacher, and laughed at Dad's terrible jokes. She seemed perfect for Marcus. I remember watching them together that night, the way Isabel touched Marcus's arm when she talked, how she looked at him with what seemed like real affection. Marcus was absolutely glowing. After they left, Dad turned to me and said Isabel reminded him of Mom. That comment should have made me happy, but something about it felt strange. I pushed the feeling away, told myself I was just being overprotective. Over the next few months, I watched their relationship move fast. Really fast. Marcus proposed after only 4 months of dating. When he called to tell me, his voice shaking with excitement, I swallowed my concerns and told him I was thrilled. Maybe when you know, right? And Marcus seemed so certain. Isabel said yes, and they set a wedding date just 2 months away. Everything happened in this whirlwind. My husband Ethan and I had been married for 5 years by then. We met through mutual friends at a barbecue 7 years ago. I was 25, teaching my first year at the high school, and Ethan was 28, working as an architect at a firm downtown. He wasn't the most romantic guy in the world, but he was steady, reliable, and kind. Our relationship didn't have fireworks, but it had comfort and trust. We dated for 2 years before getting engaged, took our time planning a small wedding, and settled into married life with an easy rhythm. We didn't have kids yet. We'd been focused on our careers, saving money, traveling when we could. Ethan worked long hours on big projects, sometimes coming home at 9 or 10 at night, but he always texted to let me know he'd be late. We had our routine. Friday night dinners out, Sunday morning pancakes, and quiet evenings on the couch watching old movies. It wasn't passionate, but it was ours, and I never questioned it. Ethan and Marcus got along well. They bonded over sports, watched football games together, and Ethan genuinely seemed to care about my brother. When Marcus got engaged, Ethan volunteered to design the wedding invitations as his gift to the couple. He spent hours getting the details perfect, and I loved him for that thoughtfulness. As the wedding approached, Marcus asked me to be his best woman. Isabel didn't have sisters, and her female friends weren't close enough for the maid of honor role, So Marcus thought it would be meaningful if I stood beside him. I was honored and threw myself into the role. I organized a bridal shower at a nice restaurant downtown, invited Isabel's work friends and our aunts, made sure everything was elegant and special. At the bridal shower, Isabel seemed genuinely happy. She opened gifts with real excitement, hugged everyone who came, and when she thanked me at the end of the afternoon, she took both my hands in hers and said, "I'm so lucky to have you as a sister." Her eyes were even a little teary. I felt this warmth spread through my chest. Maybe I'd been wrong to have doubts. Maybe she really was the perfect addition to our family. Ethan and I spent $200 on a custom piece of artwork for their gift, something Ethan had commissioned from a local artist showing the Seattle skyline, where they'd had their first date. We wrapped it carefully, wrote a heartfelt card, and I felt genuinely excited for them. Everything seemed to be falling into place. Marcus was getting married to a wonderful woman. Dad would have both his kids settled and happy, and our family would finally feel complete again after years of just getting by. The night before the wedding, Ethan and I lay in bed talking about the next day. He seemed distracted, checking his phone more than usual. When I asked if everything was okay, he said work was stressful and he hadn't slept well all week. I rubbed his back and told him tomorrow would be a good day, a celebration. He just nodded and turned off the light. I should have known then that something was wrong. But I didn't. I fell asleep thinking about how proud Mom would have been to see Marcus so happy. The wedding day arrived with perfect weather. The venue was this gorgeous garden estate about 30 miles outside the city, with manicured lawns, blooming flower beds, and a white gazebo where the ceremony would take place. I arrived early, around 9 in the morning, to help Isabel get ready. The bridal suite was upstairs in the main house, a spacious room with large windows and soft natural light. When I walked in, 3 bridesmaids were already there, along with a hairstylist and makeup artist. Isabel sat in front of a vanity mirror in her robe, her hair half pinned up. She looked beautiful already, even without the dress. But I noticed her hands were shaking slightly as she held her coffee cup. "Good morning, bride," I said, setting down a bag with emergency supplies I'd brought. Safety pins, breath mints, tissues, everything a maid of honor should have. Isabel turned and gave me a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Morning, Nora. Thank you for being here so early." "Of course. This is your big day. How are you feeling?" She took a sip of coffee and glanced at the other women in the room before answering. "Nervous. Is that normal?" "Completely normal," I assured her. "Cold feet." "No, just overthinking everything, I guess. Making sure I didn't forget anything. Making sure everything goes smoothly." Her laugh sounded forced. "It's a lot of pressure, you know, everyone watching, everyone expecting perfection." I squeezed her shoulder. "It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours and Marcus's. That's all that matters." She nodded, but I could see tension in her jaw. One of the bridesmaids made a joke about wedding jitters, and the mood lightened a bit. The hairstylist finished Isabel's updo, and the makeup artist began working on her face. I helped the other bridesmaids get into their dresses, made sure everyone had their bouquets ready, took photos of the getting ready process. Then Isabel's phone started ringing. It was sitting on the vanity and I saw the name flash on the screen. Just a letter. E. Isabel grabbed it quickly, her face changing, becoming tight and worried. She looked at the screen, declined the call, and set the phone face down. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Yes. Just work. Even on my wedding day, they can't leave me alone." She laughed, but it sounded hollow. The phone rang again 2 minutes later. Same contact. Isabel looked at it, her face going pale. She stood up abruptly. "I need to take this. It might be the event coordinator. I'll be right back." She grabbed her phone and walked out of the room, closing the door behind her. The bridesmaids exchanged glances. One of them said, "She's been really stressed all week. I hope she's okay." "She'll be fine once the ceremony starts," another one said. "It's just pre-wedding anxiety." But Isabel was gone for 15 minutes. When she came back, her eyes were red like she'd been crying. She'd tried to cover it with more concealer, but I could tell. Her hands were still shaking. Is everything all right? I asked quietly, pulling her aside. Yes, everything's fine. Just emotional. You know, big day. She forced another smile and went back to the mirror. Something felt off, but I didn't push. Maybe she really was just overwhelmed. Weddings are stressful. I'd cried on my own wedding day for no particular reason, just from the weight of everything. Around 11, Ethan arrived to take some photos with me before the ceremony started at 1. The photographer wanted shots of the wedding party, and since I was the best woman, they needed pictures of Ethan and me together as a couple. When Ethan walked into the bridal suite to find me, I was surprised by how he looked. Tired. Really tired. Dark circles under his eyes, his tie slightly crooked, his smile tight. I walked over to him. Hey, honey. You okay? You look exhausted. Yeah, I'm fine. Just didn't sleep well last night. Big day for Marcus, you know. Wanted to make sure everything was perfect. He wouldn't quite meet my eyes and his hands were in his pockets, shoulders tense. Are you coming down with something? You seem off. No, I'm good. Really, just tired. He checked his phone, frowned, and put it away quickly. The photographer called us downstairs for pictures in the garden. Ethan and I posed together, his arm around my waist, both of us smiling for the camera. But there was this distance between us that I couldn't name. Like he was physically present but mentally somewhere else entirely. When the photographer finished, Ethan said he needed to make a quick call and walked away before I could respond. I stood there watching him go, feeling this strange unease settling in my stomach. Everything felt slightly wrong, like a picture frame hanging crooked on a wall. You might not notice it right away, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. By 12:30, guests started arriving and taking their seats in rows of white chairs facing the gazebo. I helped Isabel into her wedding dress, a stunning lace gown with a long train. She looked like a princess, absolutely breathtaking, but her smile still seemed forced, and she kept checking her phone, even though there were only minutes left before the ceremony. At 1 o'clock, the music started. I walked down the aisle with the groomsman. I'd been paired with a college friend of Marcus. My brother stood at the altar in his tuxedo, looking nervous and excited and so young. My heart swelled with love for him. Whatever weird feelings I'd had that morning, this moment was about Marcus. His happiness. His new beginning. The music changed to the bridal march. Everyone stood. Isabel appeared at the entrance with her father, her veil covering her face. She looked beautiful, ethereal in the afternoon sunlight. She began walking down the aisle slowly, carefully, her father guiding her. But as I watched, I noticed something strange. Isabel wasn't looking at Marcus. Her eyes were scanning the crowd of guests, searching for something, or someone. I followed her gaze, turning slightly to look at the guests. Everyone was smiling, watching the bride. And then I saw Ethan. He was sitting in the third row on the groom's side where I'd saved him a seat. He was looking at Isabel, not with the casual interest of a wedding guest, but with this intense, worried expression. And just for a second, their eyes met. Was I imagining things? It happened so fast. Isabel looked away, refocused on Marcus, continued walking. Ethan looked down at his hands. Maybe I'd imagined the whole thing. Maybe the stress of the day was making me see things that weren't there. Isabel reached the altar. Her father lifted her veil, kissed her cheek, and placed her hand in Marcus's. My brother's face was full of pure joy. The officiant began speaking about love and commitment and partnership. I tried to focus on the ceremony, on the beautiful words on this important moment. But that look between Ethan and Isabel kept replaying in my mind. What was that? Why did it feel so loaded? The ceremony concluded with Marcus and Isabel exchanging rings and sharing their first kiss as husband and wife. Everyone clapped and cheered. They walked back down the aisle together, beaming at guests, and we all followed them to the reception area. The venue had transformed the ballroom with elegant decorations, soft lighting, and tables covered in white linens. A band was setting up in the corner, and waiters circulated with champagne and appetizers. The cocktail hour began. I found Ethan standing near the bar, holding a glass of whiskey. He rarely drank hard alcohol, usually sticking to beer or wine. Whiskey, I asked, raising an eyebrow. At 1:30 in the afternoon. It's a celebration, he said, but his voice was flat. He took a long sip and looked around the room, avoiding my eyes. Ethan, seriously, what's going on with you? You've been acting strange all day. Nothing's going on. I told you I'm just tired. Is it work? Did something happen with a project? He hesitated, then said, Actually, I need to make a phone call. Work emergency. I'll be back in a few minutes. He set down his glass and walked away before I could protest. I stood there, frustration building. A work emergency at Marcus's wedding on a Saturday afternoon, it made no sense. Ethan was a dedicated architect, but he'd never let work interfere with family events like this. Something was definitely wrong. I decided to find him. I needed to know what was happening. I walked through the ballroom, checked the main hallway, and headed toward the garden terrace on the other side of the building. As I turned down a corridor lined with windows overlooking the grounds, I heard voices. Low, intense voices. I slowed down, my heart starting to beat faster. Through the glass door leading to the terrace, I saw them, Ethan and Isabel, standing close together, facing each other. Isabel was still in her wedding dress, the train pooling around her feet. Ethan's hand was on her shoulder, and Isabel was crying. I froze. My breath caught in my throat. What was I seeing? Why was my husband touching the bride? Why was she crying to him? They were talking urgently, their faces serious, and then Ethan reached up and wiped a tear from Isabel's cheek. The gesture was tender, intimate, familiar. My mind raced through possibilities, each one worse than the last. Were they having an affair? Had Ethan been lying to me all this time? Was that why he'd been so distant, so stressed? Was Isabel in love with my husband? Did Marcus know I felt like I was going to be sick? My hands were shaking. I wanted to burst through that door and demand an explanation, but my feet wouldn't move. I just stood there watching my husband comfort my brother's new wife in a way that clearly meant they had some kind of relationship I knew nothing about. Then I heard footsteps behind me. I turned to see Marcus walking down the hallway toward me. He was smiling, looking for someone, probably his bride. But when he saw my face, his smile faded. He followed my gaze to the terrace door, to where Ethan and Isabel stood. I expected Marcus to react with shock, with anger, with something. But he didn't. He just looked sad. So incredibly sad. And that's when I knew. This wasn't news to him. He already knew something was going on. Marcus stepped close to me and spoke quietly. We need to talk. Not here. Follow me. Marcus, what is happening? Why is Ethan with your wife? Please, Nora. Trust me. Come with me. His voice was calm but firm, and there was something in his eyes that made me listen. We walked quickly to a small sitting room off the main hallway, a private space with a couch and 2 chairs. Marcus closed the door behind us. I turned on him immediately. What the hell is going on? Why is my husband out there with Isabel? Are they... I couldn't even say the words. Marcus held up his hands. Nora, I know what you saw looks bad. Really bad. But Ethan isn't cheating on you. Then what is he doing? Why is he touching her? Why is she crying to him? Marcus took a deep breath. Because Isabel is cheating. But not with Ethan. I stared at him, trying to process his words. What? Isabel is having an affair. I found out 3 weeks ago. Ethan found out 2 weeks ago and told me. He's out there right now trying to calm her down because she's terrified the truth is going to come out today. My mind was spinning. Wait, slow down. Isabel is cheating on you. Yes. Then why did you marry her? Why did we just watch you get married if you knew she was unfaithful? Marcus sat down heavily on the couch and put his head in his hands. Because I'm an idiot. Because we'd already paid for everything. Because both families had traveled here. Because I didn't want to deal with the humiliation of calling it off. I thought I could just get through today and then deal with it later. Marcus, that's insane. You can't marry someone you know is cheating on you. I know it's insane. But I was in denial. Okay, I thought maybe if we went through with the wedding, she'd end the affair and we could work it out. I thought maybe I could fix it. He looked up at me, his eyes red. I love her, Nora. Or I thought I did. I didn't know what else to do. I sat down next to him, my anger shifting to concern. Okay, okay. Tell me everything. How did you find out? Who is she cheating with? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he said very softly, "That's the worst part. The person she's been seeing. It's someone we know. Someone in our family." A cold feeling washed over me. What do you mean? Someone in our family who... Marcus looked at me, and I saw shame and pain and anger all mixed together in his face. Dad? The word hit me like a physical blow. I actually felt dizzy, like the room was tilting. What our father? You're telling me Isabel has been having an affair with our dad? Yes. That's not possible. That can't be true. Dad wouldn't do that to you. I didn't want to believe it either. But it's true. I have proof. Text messages. I saw them together one night when Isabel thought I was working late. I came home early and found Dad's truck parked down the street. I waited, and an hour later he left our apartment. I confronted Isabel, and she admitted everything. I couldn't breathe. This was too much. Too terrible. How long has it been going on? She said it started 6 months ago, before she even met me. What? Before she met you. Then why did she get involved with you? She met Dad at some community event. They started talking, one thing led to another, and they began an affair. But Dad told her he couldn't leave our family, couldn't be public with her, so she asked him to introduce her to me. She thought if she dated me, married me, she could stay close to Dad, and Dad went along with it. I felt like I was going to vomit. That's disgusting. That's beyond disgusting. How could he do that to you? How could she? I don't know. I've asked myself that question 1,000 times. When I confronted Dad, he said it was a mistake, that he never meant for it to go this far. He said he tried to end it when Isabel and I got serious, but she wouldn't let him go. He's weak, Nora. He's a weak, selfish man who destroyed his own son's life. Tears were streaming down my face now. For Marcus. For our family. For the betrayal that cut so deep, I didn't know how we'd ever recover. Why didn't you tell me? Why have you been carrying this alone? Because I was ashamed. Because I didn't want you to know what a fool I've been. Because I didn't want to burden you with this nightmare. And Ethan? How does he fit into all this? Marcus wiped his eyes. 2 weeks ago, Ethan was having dinner with a client at a restaurant downtown. He saw Dad and Isabel there together, sitting in a corner booth holding hands. Ethan was shocked. He didn't know what to do. The next day he came to me and told me what he'd seen. He thought I didn't know. When I told him I already knew that I was still going through with the wedding, he thought I was crazy. But he said he'd support whatever I decided. He promised not to tell you because I asked him not to. So that's why Ethan had been so distant, so stressed. He'd been carrying this secret, torn between loyalty to me and loyalty to Marcus. He's been protecting you. Yes, and trying to protect you from the truth. But today, Isabel is falling apart. She's scared someone will find out. She's scared Dad will say something. Ethan has been trying to keep her calm, convince her to hold it together just for a few more hours. That's what you saw on the terrace. I sat back overwhelmed. My father and my brother's wife. The betrayal was so enormous, so twisted, I couldn't fully grasp it. Where is Dad now? He's here. At the wedding. Acting like nothing is wrong. Playing the proud father. It's sickening. Does he know that you know? Yes. I confronted him 3 weeks ago. He begged me not to call off the wedding. Said it would humiliate everyone. He promised he'd end things with Isabel after today. Like that makes any of this better. I stood up. Rage replacing shock. We have to expose them. Right now. We have to tell everyone what they've done. No. Marcus stood too, blocking my path to the door. I won't let you do that. Marcus, these people deserve to be exposed. Maybe, but not today. Not like this. I won't give them the satisfaction of creating a scene. I won't let them ruin this day any more than they already have. But all these people think this is a real marriage. They think you're happy. I'll annul the marriage next week. Quietly. I'll tell people it didn't work out. But I won't create a scandal in front of 100 guests. I won't do that to myself. I saw the determination in his face. He'd thought about this, planned it. This was his way of maintaining control over an uncontrollable situation. What about Dad? What about Isabel? They just get away with it. They won't get away with it. But I'll handle it my way. After today. Please, Nora. I'm asking you as your brother. Let me do this my way. I looked at him, this man I'd protected my whole life, and realized he didn't need my protection anymore. He was making his own choices, however painful they were. But I couldn't just stand by. I couldn't let them continue to hurt him. I respect your choice, Marcus, but I can't stay silent. Not completely. What are you going to do? Something that protects you but makes them face consequences. Fear crossed his face. Nora, please don't make this worse. Trust me, I said, echoing the words he'd used on me as a child when he needed my help. Like you trusted me when we were kids. I won't create a scene, but I won't let them keep playing their game either. Marcus studied my face, then slowly nodded. Okay, I trust you. I left the sitting room with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. The shock had burned away, leaving only resolve. I knew exactly what I needed to do. First, I had to find Isabel. She was the weaker link, the one most likely to crack under pressure. If I could get her to leave to remove herself from the situation, it would force everything to a head without creating a public disaster. I walked through the reception area, smiling at guests, pretending everything was fine. The band was playing soft jazz. People were eating appetizers and drinking champagne. Marcus was standing with some cousins, playing his role perfectly. Ethan was back inside talking to my aunt. And Dad Robert was near the bar laughing with an old friend. Looking at him made my stomach turn. I found Isabel in the powder room adjacent to the ballroom. She was alone, standing in front of the mirror, touching up her lipstick. Her hands were still trembling. When I walked in, she jumped slightly. Nora, you startled me. I locked the door behind me. The click was loud in the small space. Isabel's face changed. Why did you lock the door? Because we need to talk and I don't want anyone interrupting us. About what? But her voice wavered. She knew. I walked closer, keeping my voice calm and level. My father. All the color drained from Isabel's face. She gripped the edge of the sink. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me. Not now. I know everything. The affair, how it started, how you used my brother to stay close to Dad. All of it. Isabel's eyes filled with tears. Marcus told you. Yes, and I'm telling you this ends now. It already ended. I told Robert it was over. I married Marcus. I'm trying to do the right thing. The right thing? I stepped closer, my anger controlled but powerful. The right thing would have been never starting. The right thing would have been leaving my brother alone. The right thing would have been not destroying my family. I'm sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. It just got out of control. I don't care about your excuses. I care about fixing this. And you're going to help me. How? You're going to leave. Right now. You're going to walk out of this wedding and you're never going to contact my father or my brother again. Isabel shook her head frantically. I can't just leave. People will ask questions. It will humiliate Marcus. Marcus is already humiliated. But if you stay, if you keep playing this charade, it will only get worse. At least if you leave now, you can claim illness or cold feet or whatever you want. But you're leaving. And if I refuse, I met her eyes steadily. Then I walk back into that ballroom and tell every single person what you've done. I'll tell them about you and my father. I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of person you are. Your family, your friends, everyone will know. Isabel's tears spilled over. Please don't do that. Then leave. You have two choices. Leave quietly or leave in disgrace. But either way, you're leaving. She stared at me for a long moment, realizing I was serious. Finally, she nodded. Okay, I'll go. I'll say I'm sick. A migraine or something. Good. And the annulment? I won't contest it. I'll sign whatever Marcus wants. And my father? I'll never see him again. I promise. Your promises don't mean much to me, but I'll accept it for now. I unlocked the door and opened it. Go change out of that dress. Leave through the side entrance. Don't say goodbye to Marcus. Just go. Isabel walked past me, her head down, defeated. I watched her disappear down the hallway. Part of me felt guilty for being so harsh, but a larger part felt satisfaction. She'd made her choices. Now she'd live with the consequences. 10 minutes later, I saw one of Isabel's bridesmaids looking confused, asking if anyone had seen the bride. The word spread quickly. Isabel was gone. Her car was gone from the parking lot. She'd sent a text to her maid of honor saying she had a severe migraine and had to leave immediately, that she was sorry. Guests started murmuring, confused and concerned. Marcus found me in the crowd. Did you do this? She made her choice. What did you say to her? I gave her the option to leave quietly or be exposed publicly. She chose to leave. Marcus closed his eyes, processing. When he opened them, he looked relieved. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. We still have to deal with Dad. Let me handle Dad. No, this one's mine. I found Robert outside on the terrace where hours earlier Ethan had been comforting Isabel. He was standing alone smoking a cigarette, something he'd quit years ago. When he saw me approach, he tried to smile. Hey, sweetheart. Have you seen Isabel? People are saying she left. She did leave, because I made her. His smile disappeared. What? I know everything, Dad. About you and Isabel. About what you did to Marcus. Robert dropped the cigarette and stepped on it. His face hardened. Marcus told you. Yes, and I can't believe you. I can't believe you'd betray your own son like that. It wasn't like that. It was complicated. Complicated. You had an affair with the woman your son was going to marry. You let him marry her knowing you'd slept with her. There's nothing complicated about that. It's just wrong. I tried to end it. I told her it had to stop when she got engaged to Marcus. But she wouldn't listen. She kept coming back. So you're blaming her. You're the adult. You're the father. You should have protected Marcus, not betrayed him. Robert's face flushed with anger. Don't lecture me, Nora. You don't understand what it's been like for me since your mother died. I've been lonely. I've made mistakes. We've all been lonely, Dad. Marcus and I lost Mom too. But we didn't betray each other. We didn't destroy each other's lives. I never meant to hurt anyone. But you did. You hurt Marcus deeply. And you hurt me. Because I looked up to you. I thought you were a good man. But you're not. You're selfish and weak. Robert's eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry isn't enough. I want you to leave. Leave the wedding. Yes, right now. Don't make a scene. Just go. And don't contact Marcus or me until we decide we're ready to talk to you, which might be never. Nora, I'm your father. A father doesn't do what you did. A father protects his children. You failed at that. So leave. Now. Robert looked like he wanted to argue, but something in my face stopped him. He nodded slowly, pulled his keys from his pocket, and walked toward the parking lot without another word. I watched him go, feeling a mix of anger and sadness. The man who raised me, who I'd loved my whole life, had revealed himself to be someone I didn't know at all. After Robert left, I stood on the terrace for a few minutes, letting everything sink in. Then I went back inside to find Marcus. He was talking to some guests, explaining that Isabel had gotten sick and had to leave. People were sympathetic, offering to help, asking if the reception would continue. Marcus, with grace I didn't know he possessed, smiled and said, "Please, everyone, stay. Enjoy the food and the music. Don't let this change your evening. These things happen." Some guests left feeling awkward. Others stayed either out of loyalty or curiosity. The band kept playing. Waiters brought out dinner. It was surreal, this wedding reception without a bride, but Marcus handled it with dignity. I found Ethan sitting at our assigned table, looking exhausted. I sat down next to him. "We need to talk." "I know. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. Marcus asked me not to, and I didn't know what to do. I was trying to protect both of you. I understand. But you should have told me. Keeping secrets like that, it hurt. I know. I hated lying to you. Every day I wanted to tell you, but I'd promised Marcus. I was stuck. I took his hand. No more secrets. Ever. Promise me. I promise. No more secrets. We sat together watching the strange scene unfold around us. Eventually, Marcus came over and sat with us. Thank you both. For everything. What are you going to do now? Ethan asked. I'll file for an annulment on Monday. I'll tell people it didn't work out, that we realized we weren't right for each other. Most people will understand. And Dad? I asked. I don't know. I can't think about him right now. Maybe someday I'll be able to forgive him. But not today. That's fair, I said. Take all the time you need. We sat together, the three of us, in the middle of this failed celebration. And despite everything, I felt grateful. Grateful that Marcus had Ethan and me. Grateful that we'd faced the truth, as painful as it was. Grateful that we were still together, still a family, even if it looked different now. The reception ended around 8. Most guests had left by then. Marcus, Ethan, and I helped clean up, packing up gifts and decorations. It felt cathartic, taking down all the symbols of a marriage that would never really exist. By 9, we were done. Marcus hugged me tightly. I love you, sis. I love you too. We'll get through this. I know we will, because we have each other. Ethan and I drove home in silence. When we got inside our apartment, I collapsed on the couch. Ethan sat next to me and put his arm around my shoulders. That was the strangest day of my life. Mine too. Are we okay? You and me? I looked at him, this man I'd been married to for 5 years, and realized how lucky I was. He'd tried to do the right thing in an impossible situation. He'd protected Marcus. He'd been faithful to me even when it would have been easy not to be. Yes, we're okay. Better than okay. But we need to promise each other something. What? We talk to each other. About everything. No more keeping things to protect each other. We're partners. That means we handle things together. I agree. Complete honesty from now on. We sat together on that couch for a long time, processing everything that had happened. And slowly I felt our relationship strengthening. The secret had created distance, but the truth, as painful as it was, brought us closer. Over the next few days, Marcus filed for an annulment. Isabel didn't fight it. She signed the papers and, as far as I know, moved to a different city. I didn't ask for details. I didn't care where she went as long as it was far from us. Marcus took time off work, spent a lot of days at our apartment talking through his feelings. Ethan and I made him dinner, watched movies with him, reminded him he wasn't alone. Robert sent letters to both Marcus and me. Long letters explaining himself, apologizing, begging for forgiveness. I didn't respond to the first few. Neither did Marcus. Eventually, about a month after the wedding, I read one of the letters carefully. Robert had started going to therapy. He acknowledged what he'd done was unforgivable. He didn't make excuses, didn't blame anyone else. He just said he was sorry and he'd spend the rest of his life trying to be better. I called him. It was a short conversation. I told him I wasn't ready to forgive him, but I was willing to try to rebuild our relationship slowly. He cried and thanked me. I told him it would take time, maybe years. He said he understood. Marcus wasn't ready yet. He told me he needed more time before he could even speak to our father. I supported his choice. Everyone heals differently on their own timeline. It's been 6 months since that wedding day. 6 months of processing, healing, and rebuilding. Marcus is doing better. He went to therapy, worked through his feelings about the betrayal, and slowly started to trust again. He's not dating anyone yet. Says he's not ready, but I can see he's healing. The light is coming back into his eyes. Marcus and I are closer than ever. We have dinner together every Friday, just the two of us. We talk about everything, about Mom, about our childhood, about the future. We've created new traditions, new memories that aren't tainted by betrayal. Last month we went hiking together, something we used to do as kids. Standing at the top of that mountain looking out at the view, Marcus turned to me and said, "I'm glad I have you." Always, I told him. No matter what. My relationship with Ethan is stronger too. The secret had created a wall between us that I hadn't even fully realized was there. But once the truth came out, once we'd promised complete honesty, that wall crumbled. We started couples therapy not because we were in crisis, but because we wanted to build better communication skills. We wanted to make sure we never let anything come between us again. I've learned that secrets are poison. Even secrets kept with good intentions create distance and mistrust. Ethan thought he was protecting me by not telling me about Isabel and Dad, but really he was excluding me from something that affected our whole family. Now we tell each other everything, even when it's uncomfortable, even when we're not sure how the other will react. And our marriage is better for it. As for my father, I've been rebuilding that relationship slowly. Very slowly. I see Robert once a month for coffee. We talk about surface things mostly, but occasionally we go deeper. He's still in therapy, still working on himself. He quit his construction company and started working as a consultant, says the change has been good for him. He's dating someone new, a woman his own age who knows his history. He's trying to be better. I don't know if I'll ever fully forgive him. Maybe forgiveness isn't the point. Maybe the point is learning to coexist with the hurt, to accept that people are flawed, that even parents make terrible mistakes. I'm working on it. Some days are easier than others. Marcus still hasn't spoken to Dad. I don't push him. He'll do it when he's ready, if he's ever ready. And that's his right. No one gets to dictate how someone else heals from betrayal. I think a lot about trust now, about how fragile it is, how easily it breaks, and how hard it is to rebuild. I trusted my father completely, never questioned his character or his choices. I trusted Isabel because Marcus loved her. I even doubted Ethan for a moment when I saw him with Isabel. Trust is complicated. It requires vulnerability, and vulnerability means you can get hurt. But I've also learned that withdrawing trust, refusing to be vulnerable, means living a closed-off life. I could have let that wedding day turn me cynical and suspicious. I could have decided never to trust anyone again. But that would have meant missing out on the beautiful things that trust brings. The deepness of my relationship with Marcus. The honesty I now share with Ethan. Even the tentative rebuilding with my father. Some people come into your life to teach you lessons. Isabel taught me that not everyone who smiles at you has good intentions. That sometimes people use others for their own purposes. That's a hard lesson, but an important one. Robert taught me that even people you've known your whole life can surprise you, can disappoint you, can reveal sides of themselves you never knew existed. But Marcus and Ethan taught me something more important. They taught me that real love shows up. Real love tries to do the right thing even when it's messy and complicated. Real love protects without being asked, stands beside you without needing recognition, and holds on even when everything falls apart. I look back at that day, at seeing my husband with the bride, at hearing my brother's whispered revelation, and I realize it was a turning point. Not just for Marcus, but for all of us. It forced us to confront uncomfortable truths, to make hard choices, to decide what kind of people we wanted to be when everything went wrong. And I'm proud of how we handled it. Not perfectly, but honestly. Not without pain, but without losing ourselves. Marcus is going to be okay. He's stronger than he knows. And someday, he'll find someone who deserves him, who sees his worth, who would never dream of betraying him. I believe that. I have to believe that. I'm going to be okay too. My family looks different now, smaller and more careful, but it's built on truth instead of illusions. And that matters. Yesterday I found an old photo of the four of us. Me, Marcus, Mom, and Dad, taken when we were kids. We're all smiling, standing in front of our old house, looking like the perfect family. I used to look at that photo and feel sad about what we'd lost when Mom died. Now I look at it and feel grateful for what we had, even if it was imperfect, even if it didn't last. Because nothing lasts forever. Not happiness, not pain, not betrayal, not love. Everything changes. People change. Families change. And the only thing you can control is how you respond. Do you let the pain turn you bitter? Or do you let it make you stronger? Do you close your heart? Or do you keep it open? Even when it's been broken, I choose to stay open. I choose to keep trusting carefully and wisely, but still trusting. I choose to believe that most people are trying their best even when their best isn't good enough. I choose to forgive when I can, and to protect myself when I can't. I choose to love my brother, to stand by my husband, and to give my father a chance to earn back what he lost. These choices aren't easy. Some days I'm angry all over again. Some days I want to call Dad and scream at him. Some days I worry that Marcus will never fully heal. But most days, I feel at peace. I feel like we survived something that could have destroyed us, and we came out the other side still standing still together, still capable of love. That wedding day was supposed to be a celebration. Instead, it became a revelation of secrets, of betrayal, of pain, but also a revelation of strength, of loyalty, of what really matters. And in the end, maybe that's more valuable than any perfect wedding day could have been. Sometimes the worst moments teach us the most important lessons. Sometimes you have to lose everything you thought was true to find out what's really real. And sometimes the people who hurt you the most give you the gift of knowing who you really are. I'm Nora. I'm 32 years old. I'm a sister, a wife, a daughter, and a survivor. And I'm still learning how to navigate a world where the people closest to you can betray you, but also where love can be strong enough to carry you through. So here's what I want to know from everyone watching this. Have you ever discovered a secret that changed everything about your relationships? How did you handle it? Did you choose forgiveness or distance? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I'd love to hear your stories. And if this resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it. We all carry these complicated family stories, and sometimes it helps just to know we're not alone. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope wherever you are in your own journey, whether you're dealing with betrayal or healing from it, or just trying to figure out who to trust, I hope you find peace. I hope you find strength. And I hope you never stop believing that you deserve better. Take care of yourselves, and remember that even the hardest days can lead to the most important growth.